Dialogue. And the lion's blood is
here. Igbo Area TV, on the Igbo.
Hello, great viewers. About a year ago, an audio clip circulated with a voice alleged to be that of current Abia State Governor Okezie Ikpeazu, warning a journalist to keep off reporting about Abia State, which is in a mess, actually. The journalist was threatened with arrest, detention, harassment, and torture if he continues to write about the state. He was told about people who tried and were in trouble for that. You could imagine what some Nigerian politicians are capable of doing. Politicians will embezzle public funds in their disposal rather than use it for what it was assigned for, and at the same time caution the press about exposing them. They do whatever they like and hopes no one raises alarm. What does it take to fix some of these things and receive praise rather? Wickedness of man. O Lord, come. O Lord, come. Nowadays, most governments have their own selected pressmen assigned to promote them, despite having nothing to show. Others refuse to be dictated to and are marked for elimination. That was the case of an Abia State activist who criticized Okezie Ikpeazu. Be my guest as I will talk about it. Now hear his story. I felt sick many times in 4 months in DSS detention, according to the Abia activist who criticized Ikpeazu. His name is Mr. Emperor Ogbonna, an Abia activist who criticized Governor Okezie Ikpeazu, was detained for 4 months by the Department of State Services in Abuja. So they moved him and detained him in Abuja. Mr. Emperor narrated the harsh conditions he was made to endure while in detention, as he was being interviewed by, according to him, by Toby Awarinde and Sunday Nwakama. Firstly, he was asked if it is true that he was being sponsored by an opposition member and the indigenous people of Biafra, Ipob. He responded by saying that he was in detention at Afara Correction Center, that is in Umuahia, Abia State, when he started hearing his name in the radio that there was a letter circulating online signed by the governor accusing him of being sponsored by Ipob and Dr. Alex Oti. You know Alex Oti, a former gubernatorial contestant in Abia State. According to him, he was never met nor collected any kobo from Dr. Oti. He said he only read the manifesto of what Oti would do when he becomes governor, and for that, he fell in love with the man. Having read Dr. Oti's profile, knowing he was a banker, getting good testimonial from close people, reading things about him also, he said he began to like him even more, with the feeling that if this kind of man who was successful in the banking sector could be governor of Abia State, the state would be a better place, he thinks. That's his feeling. So he started campaigning for Oti on Facebook and on television, speaking well about him. That was all. He added that even when Oti's case was going on in the court, he was guiding the legal team on how to go about it, that he simply felt he is a better person to be the governor of Abia State. Then on Ipob, he responded that it is funny to be accused of belonging to Ipob. That he always been critical of Nnamdi Kanu, giving reference to Kanu's proposition that he opposed on Facebook. So it is just giving a dog a bad name and hanging it. That's what they say, the case of linking him with Ipob. Secondly, he was asked what happened between him and Governor Okezie Ikpeazu, as he was alleged to have said he liked him. His response was that he still likes Okezie Ikpeazu. Speaking on how they met at NTA Aba, he was invited on a topic as social critic, and Ikpeazu was invited as a government representative. How they argued and they later took a photograph. He started liking him because of the way he talked. Even when Ikpeazu became the governor of Abia State, how he asked to see him at an event and so on. According to him, everything went well and he had no problem with the governor, he said. Making the interviewer to understand that everything he was talking about concerning Abia State was on ground of principle and wanting the state to get better. It wasn't a personal war and he still liked the governor. Also stating that these critics towards Ikpeazu wasn't to affect anybody negatively. How can he pull down the governor when he is not a politician but a social critic who says things based on what he believes is right, he added. Emperor said also that he contributed to the infrastructural development of the state by criticizing the bad state of things, accompanying them with videos on his wall. Then reporters picking on it and making it go viral for government to take actions. Then when asked how his relationship turned sour, that was the third question thrown at him. He narrated how he almost got killed when he went to pick an approval letter to carry out a peaceful protest at Umuahia on certain issue. You know, this government and both the governors, they hate protests. Following the last question, he was now asked what was the objective. That is, the people, what the people want. Why do they want to kill him? According to him, they want to silence him, not to talk again, not to criticize any governmental policy. Spending 5 months in detention. What was the experience like? They asked him. He answered that it was isolation, though they gave them food 3 times. Being asked the kind of food, he said tea and bread for breakfast, mainly rice and beans in the afternoon and eba in the evening. But the food were terrible. You know those, like when you're in boarding school, imagine Nigeria prison or jail. Another question was were the portions enough? That's the food. Emperor said no, they weren't at all. That sometimes they would supplement it when they had visitors, though he didn't eat the kind of food they gave them there. He was then asked whether they beat or torture him. He said he doesn't want to answer that for some reasons. Next was, what were his worst moments there? He replied, every day was. Responding on how long he was detained, he said he spent 1 month in Umuahia and about 4 months in Abuja, being confined in one room throughout. When asked whether he was asked to confess anything he didn't do, Emperor replied, yes. He said that was the main issue. Where visitors stopped from seeing you, his answer was yes. That initially 2 men were allowed to see him so as the protest started. They never allowed anybody to see him, probably for him not to reveal any information. He also declined when they asked him whether his lawyer was allowed to see him. They further asked him whether the detention had any psychological effect on him. According to him, that is the purpose, to break him down. He responded. You can imagine being confined in one place for 5 months, doing whatever you were asked to do just to ensure that you come out. They asked him if any other detainees died while he was there. He said no, that they have very good medical facilities. It's like they want you to stay alive. So when asked whether he felt sick, he replied so many times because he used to have a problem with his leg. He said he didn't do any surgery there. Now, on question of what kind of ailment he had, he answered that he had stomach ulcer and fever. Also, the leg he was shot. in some time ago gave him a lot of trouble. Now, one asks, how did his wife reacted to the arrest and detention as a pregnant woman? They also asked, according to him, his wife felt like killing herself, but he had already told her that he is an activist, and once you are an activist, you expect some of these things. Finally, on the interview, he was asked how his parents felt about his detention. He responded that his mother cried. She wasn't happy at all. Even his children, whom he is close to, whom are his greatest fans, were seriously affected. His entire family, his chamber, and his lawyer were all affected, he added. They all wanted him back, he said, but life doesn't always work the way we want, but sometimes it does. You see, this is the experience of somebody who, for the sake of wanting the best for Abia State, he criticized the government so that the government will work. But instead of the government making changes, working, making life better for Abia people, they picked him up, detained him in Abia State, later moved him to Abuja. This is the kind of things we see. Just like I said earlier before I started narrating the story, the story I just narrated was an interview. There's an audio tape, like we said, leaked some time ago, about a year or 2 years ago. Warning, a journalist was being cautioned in the audio tape that he shouldn't talk about the state, even though things are going wrong. I should keep off. And he was given examples of people who were dealt with by the states. Could you imagine this? Could you imagine what you have seen in Nigeria? Please, viewers, tell us if you have solutions on how to put this, stop all this. Please add your comment on the comment section. It's appreciated. You're welcome. Also, please subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell icon to get our updates each time it drops. Bye for now.